Hello everyone. Today we will discuss verification of software design documents and verification of user documentation. So how a checklist is being prepared, or what are the questionnaires to be make ready before you go for verification of the design documents and the verification of user documentation. So in today's class we will see SDD verification checklist, user documentation verification, and user documentation checklist. So first we will go for the software design document or software design description document verification. So we prepare the SDD document from the SRS document. So this is the next phase of our software development lifecycle. So once the SRS is ready, then you enter into the design phase where you are going to prepare certain design documents. So those are called software design description documents, or software design document also you can say. Every requirement stated therein is translated into design information required for planning and implementation of a software system. It represents the system as a combination of design entities and also describes the important properties and relationship among those entities. So if we look at the checklist of the SDD verification document, it is again having two sections. The section 1 contains the name of the reviewer, the name of the organization, the date of review, and the project title. Here you are going to enter the things in the section 1, and in section 2 you may go for framing certain questionnaires, or you are going to make a checklist before you go for the verification activity. So there may be some general issues questions such as, is the document easy to read? Is the document easy to document? Is the document as per IEEE standard? Does the document look professional? Is system architecture specified? Under system architecture category, we may go for asking the questions like this. Is the architecture understandable? Are figures used to show the architecture of the system? Are all essentials described clearly and consistently? Is the software architecture consistent with existing policies, guidelines, and standards? Is the architecture complete with essential details? Under software design, the questions may be, are all functional and non-functional requirements stated? Are forms available with validity checks? Are all reports available in the specified format? Are all references, constraints, assumptions, terms, and units of measure clearly stated? Has analysis been performed to identify missing requirements? Under data design, the questions may be, are all the definitions of data elements included in the data dictionary? Are all appropriate attributes that describe each data element included in the data dictionary? Is interface data design described? Is data design consistent with existing policies, procedures, guidelines, and technological directives? Under interface design, the questions may be, is the user interface for every application described? Are all fields available on every screen? Is the quality of screen acceptable? Are all measure functions supporting each interface addressed? Are all validity checks for every field specified? So this is the way we may go for framing questions before you go for the SDD verification. Traceability design. Is every requirement stated in the SRS addressed in design? Does every design entity addressed at least one requirement? Is there any missing requirement? Is the requirement traceability matrix prepared? Does the RTM indicate that every requirement has been addressed clearly? Now we will go for user documentation verification. So many documents are prepared during the software development lifecycle. So some are for the users like installation guide, beginner's guide or tutorial, system administration guide, and there may be some others also, and these are known as user manuals. So some are prepared for the internal purposes like SRS, SDD, program listing, cross-reference listing, test suite, etc. And these are known as documentation manuals. So user manuals to help the users, and the documentation manuals, they are for the internal purposes. So now here you will see the user documentation verification. That means we are talking about the user's point of view. So whatever the installation guides, the beginner's guides, the help files, the system administration guide. So these are basically going to be verified whether they are properly prepared or not, or if prepared then according to standard or not. So proper consistency should be maintained in all documents. So these are the verification issues that we have to check for. One is the consistency. So whatever the documents are there, all the documents they are maintained. Consistency should be maintained. The document should be written in simple, clear and short sentences. Installation procedure of the software must be explained step by step with proper justifications. So instead of writing in a paragraph, you have to give in detail step by step manner, like step 1 do this, step 2 do this, step 3 do this, like this. All tables, figures and graphs should be numbered properly. Explanations, if possible, should be supported by suitable examples. So under the user documentation verification checklist, you may go for framing certain questionnaires before you go for the verification activity. So it is again having two sections, section 1 and 2. The section 1 contains the name of the reviewer, the name of the organization, the date of review and the title of the project. And in section 2, under the general issue category, you may frame questions like, is the document easy to read? Is the document easy to understand? Is the document well organized? Are things easy to find? Does the document look professional? Are spellings and grammar correct? Are all references properly placed in text? Is consistency maintained? Are all observations and assumptions properly written at proper places? Under installation issue, we may go for asking questions like, is everything operated as stated in the document? Is there any step omitted? Does it specify a minimum system configuration requirement? Does it specify reasons for failure of a particular activity? And similarly, under the operational issues, the questions may be, does it clearly describe all toolbars, menus, commands and options? Do toolbars, menus and command options are stated? Are examples documented correctly? Are all steps explained? Does the document specify all steps as accepted to operate a GUI? Does it include sample screenshots identical to GUI? And under the issues of tables, graphs and figures, you may ask the questions like, are all tables, graphs and figures properly numbered? Are they identical to actual GUI? Are they properly referenced in the text? Are they properly placed? Are they consistent with the previous tables, graphs and figures? Are all given tables, graphs and figures necessary? Are there any requirement of new figures, graphs or tables? So this is the way you may go for preparing the questionnaires before you go for the user manual documentation verification and the software design document verification. So these questions are basically some sample questions. You may go for adding some new questions according to your choice or your requirement. You may expand the questionnaire also. And after the verification, this entire checklist filled with the data that is being basically or the reviewer is supposed to submit this, and this is the way the SDD and the user document or user documentation verification is conducted. So thank you for attending the today's class. Thank you.